by coming together and sharing our entrepreneurial stories, that we spread that spirit of entrepreneurship throughout our community and our region. So thank you all for being here and being a part of that. I am very excited with our two presenters today. Our first presenter is Ashley with Jackson's Attractions.
Good morning, everybody. I'm a little nervous. It's a great turnout, so I am excited about that. I do want to thank you, Andy, for allowing me to have this opportunity to speak in front of everybody and just tell you about my business and why I started. So my name is Ashley Jackson, like Andy said. I am from Stone Mountain. I moved here in 2013 to go to College of Coastal Georgia. So a crazy story, Dr. Waters was actually my professor, and I see some other familiar faces here too. So I'm just happy to be here. I was a banker at SunTrust, and actually 2 years ago I decided that I wasn't really excited coming into work. During this time too, the pandemic started. I just had a baby, and so we were short-staffed, so they had me opening up accounts, then running on the teller line to do people's transactions. And I actually had asked for a raise, and they told me basically that I should be happy I still have a job. So going in every day, I didn't want to bring that attitude and get it onto other people of me not wanting to be there. So I ended up talking to my husband, and I just let him know, asked him if he would support me if I, did this business full time. And long story short, he did. So as I say now that he believed in me to do this business full time, it just has to work. So that's what I've been putting in my mindset, is that this has to work. I'm gonna find the resources. I'm going to connect with different people so that way this business can thrive and be successful. So Jackson's Attractions right now is a team of 2. It is my husband and I. Oh, and we have our little one, TJ. He is 3. But that is our team for right now. With Jackson's Attractions, we have different. With Jackson's Attractions, why I started it was because I wanted to bring something different to the Golden Isles. There is a lot of competition with our services that we offer. We have bounce houses. We have the large inflatable bounce house. We also have the small inflatable bounce house for the toddlers. And with that, it comes with the toddler roller coaster. We have the ball pit for the toddlers. And that way, when we do go to the big events, there's something for the bigger kids and the toddlers, and that way the bigger kids aren't running over the toddlers. They're comfortable. A lot of times when 3-year-olds or 2-year-olds see the big bounce house, they're intimidated. They're like, I don't want to do that. They're running and holding on to their mommy. So we have something for them as well. I will say what makes us stand out from other businesses here in the community that may do rentals or have bounce houses is that we bring more of the personal relationship and variety. So not only do we come to you and set up these bounce houses, we also have our inflatable movie screen that we set up. So recently we did an event on St. Simon's Island with the St. Simon's Island Land Trust for the Jungle Book. So we come out there, we set up, we're there at the event, we have on our uniform, staff, so you know who to come to. And we're just there on hand. So we build that personal relationship with you. You know our faces, and again, we have variety. So another thing is too with Jackson's Attractions, we have a champagne wall. So if you're having like a girls' night, a sip and paint, you're able to get that champagne wall, pick it up, still mingle, walk around. And another thing with Jackson's Attractions is we're that business that is just not a one-time rental. You move up with us with your kid's birthday party, with your retirement party, with your family reunion. So it's not just that one time. You're with us for many years, and that's what we love. We do a lot of community events. joining the Accelerate program that they had at the college, we were able to refocus on who our target audience is. So we do set up for private, like birthday parties. We can come set up for that, but we also do large corporate events. So recently we set up at the wellness walk that the city hosted. So we set up out there. We have staff on site. The staff that we do have on site, they are CPR certified, so God forbid something happens, a child's on the bounce house, we're able to give that CPR. We also are insured, so that's another thing too, and we also go over a lot of safety cautions with our staff. So we're just trying to just make sure we keep that personal relationship, have variety for our community, and just to get out in the community. So we do have some free events that are coming up. One event is with a nonprofit called Love Smart. So we will be out there with our bounce houses. And then we also have the 4th of July that will be at Mary Ross Park. Jackson's Attractions will be out there as well. And your kids can bounce for free. So that's really the spiel about Jackson's Attractions.
It's good to know you have CPR right now.
Yeah.
Makes me feel. What is the best way to get in contact with you?
So the best way that you can get in contact with us is either through our Facebook page, which there is a QR code on the flyers, or you can visit us on our website. We love for people to reach out through us. Like we said, we love the personal interaction. So we do not mind if you reach out to us on our Facebook page, because everybody has a different need. And we would love to build a package for your price and your need.
Okay, what sort of pricing structure do you have?
So it is a flat rate for our events. So our large bounce house, it runs for $225. And that is for the day. Again, we clean it, we set it up, we break it down, and then also if this is a corporate event and you need on-site attendance, that is an extra charge. And for our inflatable movie screen with our speakers and our microphone, that is a flat rate of $500. Again, we're on site for the whole time. We set it up and we break it down.
Okay, questions?
Yes, sir.
I like your attitude about some work about a lot.
That's right.
What have you been stumbled up on?
I stumbled up on, because this business, so January made 2 years for us. And so with starting a new business, it's hard to find the resources for capital for the business. So with me, I look for those different grants or different opportunities where I can network or get funding. So for this year, I came across the Accelerate. Thank you for them having that program. I went through the full 8 weeks, learned some different ways that I can change my business, reroute my target audience, and I was able to earn some grant money that way. And even going through things like that, you're still making connections with going and meeting people that are like-minded. So those little things, those baby steps lead to big steps for me. And so that's what keeps me going, and knowing that, okay, once I make this step, something else is gonna be right there on the other side of the door.
No other questions?
As an outgoing PTA president, have you thought about networking with the schools or even with some of the preschools in the area? Because I know we would love to support local business, and I can connect you at City Career.
Yay.
But have you thought about, kind of reaching out to those demographics?
Yes, and that is a good point that you made. An obstacle that I did come across, because I did have some schools actually reach out to me, but they were looking for more of like the obstacle course inflatables. And so good news, we will be getting that this summer. And then I've also come up with a letter on a letterhead that I will send out to the different schools. So that way, even though they may not be contacting me, it's planting that seed and I'm in the forefront. Hey, we need a bounce house or we need an obstacle course. Hey, here's Ashley. So I definitely would love to get more into the schools. So yes.
You answered my questions, I think, very much, but where do you want to go from here?
From here, I do want to, of course, like every business does, want to keep growing and keep expanding. And hopefully we grow so much that we're not just at one event for one day, we're at maybe 2 or 3, and maybe some here in Brunswick or maybe one in Savannah as well. So the plan is just to keep growing and bringing different things to the Golden Owls and bringing that personal interaction as well.
Ashley, this is more of a recommendation than a question.
Yes, sir.
If you haven't already, you might talk to David Lewis at the Small Business Development Center.
Okay.
He's a wealth of advice.
Okay. Thank you so much.
More of a technical question. With the movie screen,
Yes.
do you provide the movie, and how does the movie get onto the screen?
So that is a great question. So we do provide the movie. You just have to let us know in advance what movie you're wanting to play, and we get the copyrights for it and play it. But we play it through our projector, and we use our laptop to play the movie screen. We have internet that we bring with us, so if anything happens and your internet isn't working, we're in the big field, we have our own internet where we can play the movie screen.
So is it projected from the front or from behind?
From the front.
So could you put it on the edge of a swimming pool, or would that move the projector too far?
Yes, we could put it on the edge of a swimming pool.
I'm just curious, have you been able to use local and state resources meant to assist small businesses? And if so, was it easy or difficult to find?
So I haven't yet been able to use any of the resources. The only resource that I've really had for my business so far has been through the college, and are people that I've met through the Accelerate program that have been able to assist me. But other than that, I have not. So it has been difficult, but I am trying to get my foot in the door for these different things. Our business is with the chamber, so we're trying to connect through there and just find those different networking groups, but I haven't been able to find any.
Let's connect.
Okay.
Another question, where do you keep these things? Like, are they in your back room somewhere? Or you have a garage?
Yes, so thankfully I am a homeowner, so we have a shed that's in the back. And believe it or not, you can roll up these big bounce houses. So we do have that in the back for right now. But of course, as we grow and we gain some more capital, I'm sure we will need a space for all of our products.
Another question.
Curiosity. So, Ashley, how physically demanding was this job for you personally?
Whew.
I know I've got to move these chairs and tables every day. I can't imagine moving bouncy houses every day.
Yes, it definitely is an obstacle, and that's why I love to. It's still good in your business to gain that knowledge and know what you could do differently. So I will say, when I first started out the business, I was definitely charging too low, and so knowing that all of the hard work that it is putting into cleaning it and wrapping it up, delivering it, I did know, hey, I have to pay myself too. And so this has to be, a lot more, because this is a luxury for people. We come and set it up. You don't have to do it yourself. So I need to make sure, hey, that I'm paying myself as well. But it definitely is hard work.
You sure
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. So for your first question, it depends too, because events are at different times of the day. But as of right now, we could probably do, because we're getting our obstacle course in as well, bounce. So we could probably do about 2 a day. But also we have our inflatable movie screen and we have our champagne wall. So there's different events that we could do throughout the day. A lot of times, some of the events are just drop off. So we could drop off and then be at this event during the day. We are definitely looking for part-time help because I have a flyer that I will be posting. We are looking for part-time help, and most of the part-time help that we will need is just to sit out at the events, because like when we're at Mary Ross Park for like the 4th of July for the wellness walk, they do want on-site attendance. So I would just need somebody to help set up and just sit there, watch the kids. Hey, no fighting, no hitting, no kicking, which we have to do a lot. So yes, definitely I would love to connect and see how we can help each other.
I have my card, I'll give that to you.
Perfect.
And is there an age limit too? Like,
Yes, so we have a sign for our toddler play, 5 and under, but I think we may need to do a height limit, because I'm like, are you 5 or are you? So we do have a sign that says, no eating, no drinking for our toddler play, and then for our large bounce house, we do just as long as you're probably 16. I think some of the bigger kids know, okay, I can't get on here, and the parents will tell them you're too big. But we do have, definitely for our toddler play, we try not to have the bigger kids on that, and so they're not knocking over the little toddlers.
Speaker, Laura, with an Artful recovery.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right, so like Andy said, my name is Laura Waters, and my business is an Artful Recovery. And in an Artful Recovery, I am a recovery coach and a creative guide. So in my recovery coaching, recovery means if you're in recovery from substance use disorder or any other kind of life situation, grief, codependency, toxic relationships, etc. I work in that capacity. And as a creative guide, I use art in my recovery coaching. And as a creative guide, I like to help people get back to a time of play. Because I feel that we need that. And art and play and some spiritual practices are what helped me in my recovery. So I'm a person in long-term recovery, and I'll tell you more about that here shortly. I am originally from Glenn County, and I don't know if there are a lot of us left here anymore who are original, native. But I loved growing up here. I loved the beaches when I was a child, and so I have really strong roots here. But while I was growing up here, I couldn't wait to get out. So once I graduated high school, I moved off to University of Georgia, of course, in Athens, and then went to graduate school. And we come back for visits and whatnot, and because my mom still lived here, and my grandparents. By the way, my grandfather and his mother were both entrepreneurs, so I do have some of that DNA in my blood. But when I graduated college, I moved to New York City for a while and studied acting, and then I went back to Atlanta and went to graduate school. And then, life happens. And through some tragedies in my life and traumas, I did not cope with those very well. I was not set up to cope with those very well at all. And I also had a back injury. So that created this perfect storm of developing a dependency on substances to numb myself from both emotional and physical pain. Eventually, that lasted for about a decade. Eventually, I went to a treatment program in South Carolina for 6 months. And when I completed that program, I went back to Atlanta, but quickly realized that that wasn't the place for me anymore. I'd lived there for about 15 years at that point. I needed a soft place to land and a safe place to come to spend at least the first couple of years of my recovery in. And so guess what? The place that I never wanted to come back to live to, I came back to. And I'm really, really glad that I did, because it helped me to reconnect with not only my roots and some of my family members, but the community here. And the people here, this is what I love the most. And so this is part of the reason why I do what I do. But when I moved back here, I couldn't find community for me, a person in recovery. I went to Celebrate Recovery. I tried NA and church. And while all of those were a tiny bit helpful for me, they were not for me. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? I need community. This is what they told me in treatment, that I have to have community to get through this, right? I can't do it by myself. So I had a nice little group of friends, and they helped me. But eventually, I started developing my own recovery pathway, which a lot of people do. So my pathway includes art and spiritual practices and a lot of time out in the fresh air. So I wish I'd had a person like me back in 2008 when I moved here. So eventually, while I was doing my recovery, the first few years, I became an educator. And I've now been doing that for almost 14 years, and had the pleasure of Ms. Jackson in my classroom. And you know, when we went home for COVID, when we were working from home, my areas of contemplation went to, what do I really want to do with the rest of my life? I love education. I teach communication and public speaking. But there was something more that I knew that I wanted. And a colleague at the time, and a friend, and still a dear friend, Libby Cole, encouraged me to become a coach. She said, you've already been doing this anyway. And I'm like, you're right, okay. So make it official. And so I went through training to be a recovery coach specifically. Because I had, you know, people in recovery, it's very stigmatized still. And some of it's very still hush-hush with a lot of people. But we need to change that. I want to change that. And I can't change the world, but I can help change a workplace or a group or a team or an individual. So that's what I want to do. And I've been working with individuals internationally through Zoom as a recovery coach. So I've done individual work and group work online. And for about 2 years now, since 2021 or so. And so now what I want to do is where my heart really is, with all people, yes, but with my community here in this area. And so I want to be able to serve this community in a better way. And I want to bring recovery coaching into, one, the workplace, because I venture to guess that not many of us in this room don't work with somebody in recovery. All right, so, and the world needs recovery coaches more than ever, because people are still post-pandemic living, right? And people developed substance use disorders and all kind of other disorders through the pandemic, and we need recovery from that. So that's one thing that I want to do. The other thing is, what I want to do is recovery ally training. So recovery allies, just what it says, create people who will be support and advocates for those in recovery, in the workplace, in your personal life, in your church, in your group, on your team, wherever that may be. So I provide that training as well. And like I said before, I want to bring play, especially into the workplace. Because, you know, I know if I'm working 8-10 hours a day, if I have even 15 or 20 minutes or 30 minutes to meditate, because I'm a meditation facilitator as well, and make art, that changes the person. It opens them up to possibilities. It creates more opportunity for creative problem solving. It helps them interact with their coworkers in a different way. And we get out of the headspace that we all live in way too much these days. So those are just some of the ways that I want to expand an artful recovery. And I am open to your questions.
How does someone find you? I see you have a card.
I do.
Okay, good.
I do. So yes, an artful recovery, and I don't know about you, but it's hard to see the backside because it's small. But I have a website, anartfulrecovery.com, and my email address is on here as well, Laura at An Artful Recovery. And I'm happy to meet with you and talk with you on the phone, exchange emails with you. So yeah.
What percentage of people do this work? Okay, good.
What percentage of people who have addiction problems really change their lives and go on to where they're not addicted anymore, become a productive citizen? The reason I ask that question, I used to run a business, they headquartered in Atlanta, and we had people, about 500 employees, and some of our top producers would get addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever, and we tried to help them. We'd send them to places, except one of them was a place where airline pilots went to. But I was always so disappointed that, and it would help kind of in the short term, but then they would revert. And I think the percentage that really changed long term was pretty low, maybe 20%. I don't know the exact number.
Mm-hmm.
But are you seeing that happening, or is that changing, or
No.
what's your sense of that?
It's not changing yet, but I hope it will in the future, unfortunately. Thank you for your question. The percentage that I have seen is anywhere from 18 to 30%, and that's really, really low. And I'd be surprised if it's even up to 30% right now, post-pandemic, because people turn to something outside of themselves to get help. So yeah, I remember my counselor in treatment telling me that because I was part of a couple, my person I was married to at the time, we were addicted together, that my percent chance of staying in recovery long term was 18%. And so I'm an anomaly because I never had a relapse, never went back to it, right? Because I'm a very determined and disciplined and committed human being. And I wanted that for myself more than anything. But yeah, and there are, like I said before, there are so many people in the workplace already that have addiction issues, or who are already maybe in recovery, who need that help long term, who need that consistency with someone with lived experience, with compassion, understanding, who speaks the language that they're using, to describe their experiences, and to help them set goals and to become a better, not only employee, but more productive, of course, in the workplace. So that contributes to a better economy for all of us, right? But also help them in their personal lives as well.
Do you take insurance, or is it cash, or what?
Cash is always welcome.
Cash is always good.
Right. I don't take insurance at this time. I hope to build my business enough and my clientele enough to be able to do that in the future. But it's just me. I'm a solopreneur. So I'm working, bit by bit. I'm off for the summer from the college, so I can really kind of make things happen more in the summertime. So I hope that's something that I will be able to do soon. But yes, I have PayPal set up so people can pay me that way. When we're meeting in person, they can certainly write a check or pay by cash.
So as a manager, when you identify someone that could use some of that, your services or some of that help, you're in a very difficult position of trying to make that person understand that there is a need for her or him to go through, the services. And so as a manager, I feel very ill-equipped to address this kind of issue. So what's your recommendation?
Bring in a recovery coach to your business, to have someone, even to make a presentation, even to say, this is what I do, just like I'm doing here. This is what I do. These are the services that I offer. Because having that conversation is really difficult. But you know what? We need to have more conversations like that. We need to have courageous conversations and be honest and authentic about our struggles, because we do still keep them in the closet or in the dark way too much, especially with something like this, because there is so much stigma attached to it. So having a conversation, even with a manager and an employee or your whole group with a recovery coach present, I think could maybe change that dynamic and facilitate someone getting the help that they need.
Another question. All right, okay, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Good-
Thank you. Thank you.
good-